Okay, now we are going to continue chapter 3, and I'm going to introduce you to income taxes. And so we're looking at problem number 327, and it's a very similar problem to what we just worked. We have fixed cost of $430,500. And we have different services, but the average sales check per customer is 8.75, and the average variable cost per customer is $350. Okay, and then the average cost of food and other, oh, we did that. The income tax rate is 36%. And our target net income is $117,600. Now remember, net income, I think I have it on this sheet, yeah, where we just did this one. Net income is after income tax, so keep that in mind as we work through these problems. So it asks us in this one to compute the revenues needed to earn the target net income. So what I would do on this one, if you remember this formula we used, fixed cost divided by contribution margin per unit, you can use something very similar and just add target income and use the same formula. But first, before you do that, let me change this wording. That's actually target operating income. Okay, and let me make sure this all. Okay, so to do that, we basically take our fixed cost, $430,500, plus our target operating income and divide by our contribution margin per unit, which is our sales minus our variable cost. However, this is our net income. So if we had it in this format over here, what we're looking for is right here, and what we need in our formula is operating income. So we've got to figure out what that number is. Now remember, this is 36%. And when you've worked in accounting for as long as I have, you basically know what the formula is, but it's your net income divided by 1 minus the tax rate. Net income divided by 1 minus tax rate, or 183,750. Now, if you don't believe me, you can check this. So you take 183,750 times the tax rate, and you get 66,150. And then I can't do it here because I've used this number in this formula. But if I come down here and I say 183,750 minus 66,150, it is 117,600. So the formula to go from net income to operating income is net income divided by 1 minus the tax rate. And if you work in accounting for very long, or in management and you're playing with these numbers, you'll learn how to use this formula quickly. And so now I can go back over to this formula, and I take my fixed cost plus my target operating income, which is this. I'm going to have to use some parentheses, divided by my contribution margin per unit, which is my sales price, minus my variable cost per unit. And that gives me, and remember that's in units, not dollars, so I've got to make sure and get rid of that dollar sign. That is my break-even units. So the only thing we did different here is we added, I'm sorry, that's not break-even. That's target units for revenue. Sorry about that. Poor wording, or wrong wording. And then it says revenue needed. So then I would take my target units times my sales per customer, and that is going to be my target revenue for target net income of $117,600. And you can try this target revenue. You can go in and calculate all this and see if it gives you what you're looking for. And then it asks how many customers are needed to break even. Now we're looking at break even. So how many customers to break even? And remember, that's our fixed cost divided by our contribution margin per unit. So, and again, it's units. Remember that. That's our break even units. Okay. And then it says, compute the net income if the number of customers is 170. Okay, so we're going to come over here and I'm going to use, oh, I can't do that. I use those in a formula. Okay, let me copy this over here. And it says, what if it's 170,000 units? Okay, so if that's the case, then my sales would be 170 units times my sales price per unit. Oh, why did it do that? I should have pulled the contribution margin. My variable cost my variable cost would be my number of units times my variable cost per unit. My contribution margin then would be my sales minus my variable cost. My fixed cost stay the same, they're fixed, which gives me an operating income of my contribution margin minus my fixed cost, or 462,000, and then my income tax rate is 36%. And so finally, my net income would be my operating income minus my income tax, or 295,680. All right, and so the last one that I'm going to look at in your homework is actually over on problem number 333, and I think I've got time to work it on this video. This one is break even using a sales mix, because most companies don't just sell one product. So the only thing you do here is you have to come up with a ratio to calculate and use the same formula up here. Okay, so they tell us we have product ABC, contribution margin. I'm hitting my mouse. Okay, contribution margin for each one is $5, $4, and $3 respectively. That's given to me. My fixed costs are $351. And it tells us that we sell 25,000 of A, 100,000 of B, and 50,000 of C. So what we have to do, first we're going to sum this. And so then we've got to figure out what percentage is our mix. And so we take the percentage of the whole, and we find out what percentage of our total sales is A. What percentage of our total sales is B? I always forget to turn my text messaging off when I do videos. I apologize for that. Okay, so we get a percentage. I'm going to go ahead and carry that over to two places. So then we take our contribution margin times the percentage. For each one of those, I'm going to carry that down. And then we total those, and this is the number we're looking for right here. Now you can go back and watch this again. I know I went really fast, but I know you can pause and back up. Then we take our fixed cost divided by our weighted average contribution margin, and that gives us the number of break-even units. Now, how many of each one? Well, you go back to your percentage. And so we take 91,000 times 14.29%. We take 91,000 times 57.14%. And we take 91,000 times 28.57%. And this is our break even in units for each product. So if we sell 13,000 of A, 52,000 of B, and 26,000 of C, we cover all of our fixed cost and have an operating income of 0, which means we break even. So that's how you do a sales mix.